Hello, Internet. December 31st, 2025, Marc Lowe, evening, Tokyo. I've just released my Minotaur film. Anyone looking at this page can see. The Nathan Adler Diaries, which David Bowie wrote in 1994, published in early 95, starts with the line, it was... I think it's like the night of or something, December 31st, 1999, when a dark-spirited pluralist began the dissection of 14-year-old baby Grace Blue. So I'm not involved in any... I'm not a dark-spirited pluralist or futurist, or I'm not dissecting anyone here. I might be dissecting ideas in my brain. But at any rate, so this is my year-end message, and I have been doing this every year since at least, I don't know, I think 2021 or 2022. And every year I tend to open saying, well, this is my second or my third or my fourth year alone in Tokyo on New Year's Eve or on Christmas Eve. Because I often have done Christmas Eve talks, which I think this year I don't think I did one. This is my 5th year in a row alone in this apartment, same apartment, on New Year's Eve. I mentioned Minotaur, and I mentioned this my Minotaur is, for those of you who are not familiar, Minotaur is a character in David Bowie's 1995 album, One Outside. I think I'm losing my mind because I spend so much time alone. So I've become a bit like this Minotaur character in Bowie's saga. I've been here alone in Tokyo for 5 years now, and we're on the cusp of 2026. And what I wanted to say about my tribute to Outside and the Leon sessions, which is another part of David Bowie's project from 94, 95, is that in 2024, while I was doing an improvisation that became part of my Some Kind of Future 2.0, the second part of my triptych, I was walking the streets in the summer, and I said it was right after Trump had been re-elected, or whatever you want to call that. Elon Musk's money bought him the election, or whatever the hell happened there, and was about to be going back into office, and he was ranting about how the enemy, we had to weed out the enemy within the Democrats and go after these people, and was already, hiking up his rhetoric. Actually, the piece became The Enemy Within, which was based on, there's a song called The Enemy is Fragile on the Leon Sessions, or it's a fragment, part of a suite. And so my version became The Enemy Within. I was walking around the streets improvising, and in that improvisation, as I was walking the streets and doing it and recording it, at one point I said, this is the world we live in 2024, and 2025 will be even more chaos. And so it came to pass, no surprise there. 2025 has been an extremely, I think, for most, chaotic year. And of course 24, set the precedent, and so did 23 and 22 and 21 and COVID in 2020, arguably. It was the start of the trajectory, although it started before that, really. And so now we're coming upon what Ramona, in my version, in my seg of 2022, which was the Minotaur seg that I created as part of this series, that Ramona tells this character that has no name, that I sort of came up with on the spot. He says, I met her in Shibuya, downtown Shibuya, and Ramona A. Stone, was convinced that World War III was upon us, and that was 2022. I was seeing that, with Ukraine having started, I think Ukraine in 22 was the beginning of World War III, actually. Because if you look at what's happening now, it seems that that's about to set it off. But of course, there are so many other places having the conflicts. There's, of course, China, Taiwan, which is closest to home for me, living in Japan. Russia's not far either, actually. And of course, they've teamed with China and North Korea. Those are all very close to Japan, and all historically enemies of Japan. And Japan has taken a sharp right-wing turn in recent months. So we're headed in that direction. And then, Russia, Ukraine, and Europe, of course, and UK and other places are gearing up for war. And Trump, of course, the anti-war president, is ratcheting up tensions everywhere, Venezuela and all this stuff. So, and of course, Israel, which is Israel and the US are linked, just as Japan is under the thumb of, has been and is under the thumb of the US, but particularly now with our current administration, we're heading in that direction. So Ramona was convinced in 2022, as I had this character say in my seg, that World War III is upon us. And so now we're moving into 2026, and I think really World War III, which maybe basically started in 22, but now is literally the world wars is upon us. And AI. And in this 2024 album, I did a seg for Ramona, and I changed she went from Ramona A. Stone, which is Bowie's character, to Ramona AI. And then the Neuralink and the brain patches came into into play, which also that started in the 2022 seg, and Minotaur saying we are now living in the darkest of times. So I've just published Minotaur, and I think it's appropriate timing, December 31st, 2025, just as we had, right, December 31st, 1999, the end of the 20th Century Dies, as Bowie sings on I Have Not Been to Oxford Town, a song from the Outside album. The 20th century died in 2021, but of course we feel the millennium shift from 99 to 2000, and we're feeling a shift now. And if one thinks about it, it's funny that all this social media stuff everywhere, YouTube and all these videos, all this stuff that floods the feeds, that no one has mentioned this. I see the astrologers talk about the stars align this way, and Saturn and, Jupiter and blah, blah, talking about this, that, the other. No one, it seems to me, has mentioned that 2025 marks the end of the first quarter of the 21st century. 25 years, the first quarter. 2026 is the beginning of the second quarter. Moving to, right? So 2026 to 2050, 4950, and then shift to 51. So we actually have just, that line that we're stepping over now, it's not like 99 to 2000 that Bowie was, right, seeing actually the album 95 outside, but he was planning on doing a trilogy that would have ended at the end of 99. Which he didn't complete, but we're now stepping over that line that's not the crossroads between the centuries, again, as Bowie's Nathan Adler says, but the crossroads between the first quarter of the 21st century and the next quarter, which will lead to the halfway point 25 years on, if we make it that far. I haven't mentioned other major issues that anyone who's alive today and has half awake knows about global warming or climate change and all the things happening and the bees dying out. And AI is drinking our water, and yet data centers are being built up big time. And we're about to head in, I think, to a police, what do they call it? Not just a militarized police state, but this, using AI, using YouTube and online, all this stuff that we share our data I'm doing now. is going to be used apparently against us the way that China and other countries have been using it that way. And it seems the US is moving that way, Japan is moving that way. Our current administration is pouring money into the main things, military and AI, and making it also mandatory for the military to use AI. So we're definitely heading down that big brother Orwellian road, and we see double speak and new speak, or whatever you want to call it. We have Grokopedia and brain patches, and all this science fiction stuff is now happening, and it's real. So this, I keep going back to Minotaur and Bowie. It's not, I've done several, so many, let's say, original works of my own dealing with these issues going back at least to 2022. 2021 was mainly about COVID and vaccines, and there was some politics there, but from 2022 on with the Ukraine war, my music and my message took that shift. And it also went from, well, there was a bit in 2022, but moving into 23 and beyond, and This Dark Shroud and those things, it shifted into, from being me being solitary and this and that. The shift became more global and more about what's going on in the world than what's going on with me. But like one thing that I've realized, and many of us have realized, is that the technology has actually put us into these bubbles of, the technology, and everyone on it. I mean, my After COVID documentary this year is, right, it's not only the cutting down of trees but the people, I can't avoid noticing that every time I get on the train, apart from the fact that they're too crowded it's just not healthy to be crunched into such crowded trains in Tokyo, but that everyone is like this, just like totally absorbed on their devices. And when I catch glances of screens, I see video games, I see scroll, and like TikTok videos, dancing and fashion, or just scrolling Amazon or whatever the hell to buy the next thing. I think the technology has, I've said this before, eaten our brains. The AI is eating our brains. It's taking the creativity out of the hands of the creators, and it's going to be taking jobs and doing all this stuff and drinking our water and basically imprisoning us, which we're willingly allowing. Many of us, most of us, just seem to be happily going off the side of that cliff. When I talk to people, they say, there's nothing we can do about it. Just enjoy your life. So I'm enjoying my life here alone for 5 years, doing these talks at the end of every year and saying I'm still alone, I'm still here, and so I am, and so the situation is what it is. And now we are literally, I think, on the cusp of a world war and all this scary stuff. And the Minotaur triptych I've done, or what I've been talking about, just a lot of those themes are just in there. But again, it's all throughout my work for the past at least 4 years or more, 4 or 5 years. Right? I mean, starting with, again, tetralogy was dealing mostly with COVID. That was an obvious thing to be dealing with at the time in the pandemic, and but yeah, lots about all this stuff throughout my work. And this past year I did Disinfo War, which dealt with that, the Tower last year, which had tracks such as Perspective on it. You can go and look at that, what that is. But these are sort of philosophical things. But Disinfo War is certainly about this. And actually I connected Disinfo War to my Bowie Outside triptych in a way, although it's all original. Cycles from this year deals with this. It has the Charlie Chaplin sample from The Great Dictator. And going back to the end of 2022, the world was not the same, was dealing with the rise of what I saw as fascism rising. And now it's really, really just in all of our faces, with Elon Musk doing the Nazi salute from the podium that says the President of the United States, and telling everyone that thanks to you, the future of civilization is assured. And that's a chilling thing. Every time I listen to that, it cuts to the bone, it chills me to the bone. So, Happy New Year. We are definitely, as Bowie said in '99, on the cusp of something exhilarating, both exhilarating and terrifying, I think, with AI, and also everything else happening so quickly. And it's not all bad. The exhilarating part is that we are speeding towards something, could be our demise, but we're speeding towards something exhilarating and terrifying with AI and with all of the rapid advancements in technology. I mean, maybe we're going to have a cure for cancer. Maybe we're going to have, Neuralink and these brain patches, as I call them, using Bowie's term from the Leon sessions. They've got me with a brain patch on, and it's connected to this neurotransmitter, the shakers on it. So the terrifying part is, right, we can maybe move objects with our minds. We can write texts with our minds, or we can move objects across the room, or we can read other people's minds. And obviously that can be used for the most devious of things. And we have Palantir, and we have all these very scary things. But potentially those things could be used for good as well. So it's exhilarating, but it's certainly also very, very much terrifying. And so this is where we sit, the crossroads between the centuries, the crossroads between the first quarter and the second quarter, which will lead to the first half of the 21st century. And we are certainly standing a place similar to the 1930s, maybe 1940s at this point. We're accelerating so quickly. People are talking about the 1930s, and now 2026, we may just go plunge headfirst into late 30s and early 40s or beyond, or it's going to be not the same thing. We have robots fighting wars now, and we have disinformation wars, and we have all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's not about my solitude anymore, these talks, and I'm still sitting in the tower all alone, sometimes I feel, but that's okay. Not all alone. There are people I'm in contact with, but they're not here, and I'm not there, including my family. I don't see anyone in person anymore, hardly. So I am literally alone almost all the time, though I'm still teaching classes with students who also are living in this world that we're in. So it's a different world. Even teaching has become very different. I'm not going to put a negative spin on it. Maybe it's moving, again, exhilarating and terrifying, which implies that there are changes, and change is painful, and you have to sometimes burn everything down first before you can rebirth something new, right? The phoenix burns to ashes, or you get the Trumps rise, the Hitlers rise, the Mussolinis, they rise, and then they fall, and then you have a new world that's born out of those ashes. And then, human lifespan is usually less than 100 years, so most of us don't get to experience the whole cycle, or we experience part of the cycle, and then the next generation will experience the next cycle, unless these technological advances somehow turn us into these humanoids, or what is it, 8 men with metal parts, part man, part machine, kind of thing, cyborgs. Or, right, the other narrative goes that AI is going to wipe us out and the post-human world is, or, the humans are the slaves to the AI. And of course, the billionaires who create the AI think they're going to be in control of the AI, hence they're going to be in control of the whole world, including other humans. But actually the AI may wipe them out too, or maybe they'll be overthrown by other people or by the AI, or who knows. The drama, again, as I said in another interview clip, which I ended up including in my Minotaur documentary. I had said this, a talk I had done on chaos, I think it was last year or early this year. And I went back to it and was just watching clips of different things and put it in. Was I had said, what was this? I'm forgetting now, I'm losing my train of thought. That, I am losing my train of thought. I said that we're in chaos, and I've forgotten what I was going to say. I think I've been noticing this, and hopefully I'm not developing Alzheimer's, because I spend inordinate amounts of time alone and not talking to people. And I don't know, maybe this is my fate, or maybe this is the way that I think many people are in this situation, particularly in Japan and Tokyo, and I'm a foreigner here, and I don't have a girlfriend or a wife or family here, so I lost my train of thought again. But that's also just because my brain flits around so many things at once. Minotaur says we're living in the darkest of times. Flip that around and say that something new will be born out of the ashes of this all. Maybe it'll be something positive eventually. Let's hope so. Happy New Year. I'm just going to end it there, because maybe I've said enough for this year. Happy, or at least have a healthy New Year. As Bowie says, right? We have to first kill, and it wasn't Bowie's quote, he was quoting someone else. We have to kill our God to rebuild, to make a new God, or redefine, or right? Because the old gods are all dead. Nietzsche's proclamation, the Enlightenment, right? God has been dead for a long time. We've basically been, right, building the bomb again and again and again. And now we've made AI, which is like an even scarier version of that, since the AI themselves can detonate their own bombs. But we have to destroy our God to create our new God, and maybe the new God that these oligarchian billionaires are building, as they're called, won't be the new God. That's the new God that they want, but maybe we'll create another new God, or an alternative new God. Maybe it'll be more creative. It won't be this chat GPT or generative AI bullshit God that right now seems to be on the rising. But perhaps the artists, the shamans of the 21st century, can create something, even if it's underground, and that will somehow get out into the greater, I don't know. Or, right, there's this thing about this myth about the split, the great split, that some will go the one way and that a minority of people will go the other way. Will be outside, right? The music is outside, the music is underground. Our music, we can make our music underground in our bunkers, perhaps, if we have to. Of course, we can't afford the bunkers, though, right? I mean, billionaires get the bunkers. But our own version of that, our own caves. It's not the tower, maybe it's the right, the cave, or the underground tunnel, the labyrinth of the Minotaur. Minotaur in his labyrinth, in his lair, alone, studying, reading, making music, alone. Maybe that's the trend that will continue. I don't know. Happy New Year, happy 26. This chaos is killing me. Enjoy the show. I know what I was going to say about the chaos talk. I just remembered it. It was the thing with Shakespeare. And I said, perhaps, as Shakespeare once said, we're all players on a stage. We're just players on a stage. And I said, and perhaps we're literally like this, not just metaphorically, that the war plan is going according to plan, and we're just pawns in that. And let me make one other last thing to add to. December 30th was Ramana Maharshi's anniversary of his birthday, I think. It was his birthday, December 30th. This Indian spiritual person who didn't leave behind religion, books, texts, organization, who experienced death early on. And when he was asked, how do we treat the people? He said, there are no people. We're all just life and death. It's all an illusion. My song Chaos, right? The world is an illusion. So the Buddha said, don't cling to it too much. Don't get too wrapped up in it. We'll all be dead soon enough. But death is maybe also an illusion. If we're not here to begin with, then there can be no death. We're all players on a stage. We're all just playing out, right? Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita doing his duty, which doesn't mean that we can just go around pushing people around and being, selfish, egotistical. I mean, that's what gets us, right? But if we can let go of all that and just ease into the roles that we play, as Bowie did, huh? It can be Ziggy one day, the Thin White Duke another day, Halloween Jack a third day. Another day you could also slip into the shoes of Nathan Adler and be a detective, or a lonely old guy named Algeria Touchshriek, or you could be the blind button-eyed prophet of his latter-day Black Star. Reminds me of Baba Vanga, right? She was a blind prophet, often cited in recent days. So I said I was going to end this talk about 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. And so here we go. In the villa of Orman, or Allman, or No Man, stands a solitary candle, and the Buddha said, be a light unto oneself, O disciples. You don't even need to be here listening to me talk. You've got the light of your own light inside. You got to find that. That's what the Buddha said. That's what the Buddha said, not make religion after me.
Put it in lines across the room.
Be a lamp.
We can never stop it.
Happy 26.
Oh, I've gotta quit.
Marc Lowe in Nowhere, Tokyo, signing off for 2025. Peace.
Scrape a little pattern, twist tie, like his holes for bullets.